What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking the July 27, 2020 edition of Raw Talk, as it aired last night immediately after Raw on the WWE Network. R-Truth once again co-hosted alongside Charlie Caruso. I don't know why they didn't have Samoa Joe on the show again, but hey, I'm not complaining. Samoa Joe is great. R-Truth is equally entertaining, and I thoroughly enjoyed his interactions on the show, rather, with, Andrade, Zelina Vega, Charlie Caruso, as always, Angel Garza. They had Nia Jax on the show, Shelton Benjamin, who actually beat R-Truth to win the 24/7 championship last week. So I thought Truth once again was great in the role. It was great to see him. I assume they did Truth back-to-back weeks, just because I believe this week's Raw, and I would assume this week's Raw Talk as well, was taped last week as well. So they probably did the two Raw Talks back-to-back, and that's probably why. But anyway, so they kick off the episode with Charlie asking R-Truth how he's doing, how he's feeling, coming off of his loss of the 24/7 championship. I mean, they talked about that last week on the show, but more specifically, she means failing to regain the 24/7 championship, because I think he tried to ambush Shelton on the show this week, and he failed to get the belt back. So then they quickly recap Randy Orton setting his sights on the WWE Championship, RKOing Drew McIntyre at the end of the show this week. And then R-Truth says that it's a very different Apex Predator than what they're used to seeing on WWE TV. And McIntyre and Orton has since been set and made official for the SummerSlam show next month for the WWE Championship. So the first guests they welcome on are Angel Garza, Andrade, and Zelina Vega. Garza switches his seat so he sits right next to Charlie, which, I mean, they've been doing this dumb thing for months now where, Charlie Caruso swoons over Angel Garza. I think it's dumb. I know they're trying to make this character like a Lothario, like a whatever. That's what they're calling him. The something Lothario of Monday Night Raw is Angel Garza. They're trying to make him like this lovebird type guy by having Charlie Caruso swoon over him at every turn. So Zelina tries to create some friction here between Charlie and R-Truth by saying that Charlie called R-Truth a loser because he failed to regain the championship on the show. So then Angel Garza, they kind of pivot back to what happened on Raw this week, was that they beat Cedric Alexander and Ricochet as well as the Viking Raiders in a triple threat tag team match to earn a Raw tag team title opportunity at the SummerSlam pay-per-view next month. Garza calls it the hugest opportunity that we have, or that we've ever had, whatever. I didn't think hugest was the word, but after looking it up on Google, it looks like it is. And I'm a journalism major, so I should probably know these things. And he probably, obviously under normal circumstances, most people would say, this is the biggest opportunity we've ever had. His English isn't picture perfect, but it actually is quite good. But he's not wrong. Hugest actually is a word, so if you're listening to that and thinking, oh, what an idiot, he sounds dumb for saying hugest, that actually is a word, apparently, after looking it up on Google, so the more you know, I suppose. So Zelina then goes on to call herself a future Hall of Famer, the best manager in the business as well. And Charlie, as she always does, and this is the one, gripe that I have about Raw Talk, is that the one question that Charlie always asks, and I'm not really sure if this is really her fault, I'm sure it's whoever's scripting her or whatever they're trying to go with her on these shows, as well as her interview skills, she always asks, so what's your strategy? What's your game plan? And the guest, whoever she's asking that to, never gives away their game plan, because why the fuck would they? Under what circumstance would sport teams and athletes and people like that be interviewed, being asked, oh, what's your game plan? Why would they give it away publicly so their opponent knows that? That's just a dumb question, and it's not just a one or two time thing. She does it on literally every single episode to every fucking guest. And she did it again here too. And Garza said, oh, I can show you our game plan, Charlie. And R-Truth is like, oh, keep it a PG show, and I thought that was great. So they kind of attribute their success to having the best talent on the roster between Angel Garza and Andrade. Then Zelina asks about Angel Garza and Charlie being in an entanglement, going off the whole Will Smith and I forgot his wife's name, or ex-wife, or whatever. They're going through that whole separation thing, or at least they did, and that entanglement shit was going on a couple of weeks ago, and that's what not Charlie, but Zelina is referencing. I thought that was funny, a timely reference. So anyway, Garza, as they're leaving the show, gives Charlie a rose, and they kind of leave it off on that. They then welcome on Nia Jax, and Charlie calls her dominant. She calls Shayna Baszler, who she faced on Raw this week, dominant. Nia says, listen, Charlie, the word dominant is very bland. I prefer to call myself, and this is literally what she says, dangerous. And I almost could not hold back laughter when she said that she, prefers to call herself dangerous. In fact, she goes so far as to say she's a dangerous, badass bitch. And one thing I will say about Nia, I'm not a fan really at all. I think she sucks in the ring. She really is a liability in there, and for a variety of reasons. But you know what? At least she's self-aware, and they're incorporating it into the character. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. To me, it sounds like a bad thing. The company knows, and Nia knows, that she's terrible, and that she's injured a lot of people, but they continue to put her in these positions. So that's probably a bad thing. But you know what? At least they're referencing it. They're not ignoring it. So when Charlie asks Nia, what do you feel about Shayna Baszler? What are your thoughts on Shayna Baszler? Nia says, I don't really feel anything. She goes so far as to say that, and of course this is a lie, but she says, I had not even heard of Shayna Baszler before she came to the main roster, which I don't know how you couldn't, but whatever. Obviously she's playing up the character as if she's better than Shayna, whatever. And all she's going to do is show Shayna that she's dangerous and why she's dangerous. And again, Charlie goes to ask, what's your game plan? What's your strategy? Nia, of course, doesn't give away an answer. She simply says, Charlie, you're nosy. Like, stop it. So that was good. At least they kept her segment short and sweet. They then welcome on to end the show Shelton Benjamin, the 24/7 champion. And R-Truth tells Shelton that the whole interaction here is great, and I want to see if they can make a game out of getting R-Truth, if they, assuming they keep him on the show. I'm not sure that they will. This might have only been a 2-week thing. I'm not sure. But this now marks 2 straight weeks that R-Truth has made his guests crack here on the show. First, it was Shayna Baszler last week. It wasn't as obvious. Benjamin literally started laughing, and I'm sure that wasn't part of his character. He was legitimately, broken up. He legitimately cracked up by what he had to say here. Because R-Truth brings up to Shelton, I want my baby back. I want my belt back. And they start referencing Chili's a lot, like the whole baby back ribs and whatever. And Chili's, by the way, is fucking great. I was there earlier this month. I love Chili's. You would think that this episode was sponsored by Chili's. Not my review, but the Raw Talk episode itself. With how often they reference Chili's here between R-Truth and Shelton Benjamin. So then Benjamin says, listen, R-Truth, I did one thing that you never did as 24/7 champion, and that was look you straight in the face, knock you out, and take your title. You're always hiding. You're always doing it from behind. I stood up to you man to man. I mean, technically, he did ambush him, but whatever. I guess we'll forget about that. I pinned you, and I became the champion. So that's what Benjamin says. He does admit that he's been in WWE for a long time. Granted, he wasn't there from 2010 through 2017, but he's been here for a long time, overall. Dating back to 2002 was when he debuted, I think, on the main roster, if not 03. I'm pretty sure it was 02. He had been in, obviously in OVW before that. So he's been with the company for almost 2 decades now, okay? And he does admit that for all the success that he's had as a former United States Tag Team and Intercontinental Champion, he has not had a lot of luck lately. And in fact, I heard someone say that Shelton, when he beat R-Truth last week on Raw, that was the first technical win. It wasn't really a match win, like in the ring, but it was his first win on Raw of any kind since 2006. That's unbelievable. When you really think about how he was last in the company in 2010, that's 4 years without winning on Raw. And yeah, he was on SmackDown for most of that time. He was on ECW for most of that time. But he still wrestled on Raw for a while. The brand split was out the window by 2005 or 2006. They did loosely enforce it, but he was still wrestling quite a bit on Raw by 2010. And the guy had not won a match on that show since 2006. That's crazy. So he said that, unlike, contrary to popular belief is what I'm trying to say here. MVP did not mentor Shelton Benjamin. I think Shelton's been around in the company a lot longer than MVP, despite the fact that both were gone for quite a while before recently. MVP did not mentor Shelton Benjamin. Rather, he opened his eyes, trying to show him what it's like to be taken seriously as a priority on the show, to take yourself seriously, not listen to the fans, and really just do things for you. And that's what led him, he says, to winning the 24/7 championship. And Benjamin says, I like you, R-Truth. I've always liked you. And that's when R-Truth goes, well, then give me my belt back. Give me my baby back. And Shelton could not hold it in. This is where he started laughing. He could not hold it in. He just starts laughing. And again, maybe that was part of his character, but it made me laugh too. So I'm assuming that was a real laugh from Shelton. Where he unlike Shayna, he just could not hold it back. Like Shayna tried to hide it. She put her head down. You could tell that she was really trying her hardest to not crack up laughing. Truth, it was just, Shelton couldn't hide it. Truth, it was just too great, and Shelton just started laughing. I thought that was funny. So Benjamin, like I said, started mentioning how he doesn't care about the audience, and when he stopped caring about the audience, that was when he found success. Now, granted, he has been a heel now in WWE, as far as I know, for the past 2 years, and he's been doing a whole lot of nothing in that time. So the excuse that, he only just turned heel, and that's why he's been successful because he aligned with MVP. I mean, it is the MVP connection that led him to the 24/7 championship. It wasn't him going heel or not caring about the audience, because one, the audience isn't there right now, and two, he's been heel for years, so that's not really an excuse. But he does say he does vow to be a fighting 24/7 champion, and then he's not going to hide with the championship. He's going to fight people face to face, not do this whole fucking hide in a box shit. He's going to face people head on and defend his championship that way. And that was the note that we ended on. And then they're like bickering back and forth to close out the show, R-Truth and Benjamin. That was great. So yeah, a very entertaining episode of Raw Talk. I thoroughly enjoyed this. The Benjamin Truth stuff was great. Nia was short and sweet, straight to the point. And then the Garza, Andrade, Zelina. I mean, there's a lot of guests at one time. That's 5 people on the panel at one time if you include Charlie and R-Truth. But they made it work. Andrade was largely silent. Garza served his role well, doing the whole Lothario thing with Charlie. I'm not a big fan of it, but it had its moments here. And then Zelina was great as always. So a very good episode of Raw Talk this week, setting the stage for next week and the coming weeks going into SummerSlam, as well as recapping the events that transpired on Raw this past week. So be sure to check out all my other Raw Talk reviews right here on the channel in the description box down below. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'll be back next Tuesday with my next Raw Talk review. Until then, be sure to check out #AskJSM episode 348, I believe, coming up tomorrow here on the channel. Wrestle Rant Radio excerpts on Thursday and on Friday, and Sunday, rather, because I forgot about it last week. My next 2 reviews of the R-Truth game show, which is quite great, by the way. Check those reviews out on Friday and Sunday, and my SmackDown review from Friday on Saturday. So a whole stacked week of content. Subscribe already if you haven't already, and be sure to hit that little bell notification to be notified every time a new video is up. Until next time, guys, I'm Graham GSM Matthews. Have a great week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.